Hello, my name is Orla. Welcome to my channel. In this channel I read short stories for children and adults who are interested. In this video I'll be reading a story from Gods Don't Cry, a book by a really great author called Ellen Ryan, with fabulous illustrations done by Conor Merriman. So get cozy, cuddle down, and we will begin. This one is called Dove, Ig and Ilar. These are three spellcasters with a magical dog. There. Really good illustration. That's their mother. Okay. Brothers Dove, Ig and Ilar were three young demigods who left the Red Sea and white sands of Arabia to live with their father in County Galway in Ireland. As a young man, their father had been a trader in Arabia where he had met their mother. But now he was the ageing king of Connacht and wanted his sons to come and inherit his kingdom. Dove, always bright-eyed with curiosity, readily agreed, as he was eager to study Irish magic. I've heard gods in Ireland mix herbs with water to bring dead bodies back to life. Like zombies, I've got to see one. Ig, a boulder of a boy, wanted to be a superhero. So he hoped to meet the fabled Fianna fighters of Ireland. Do you think they'll let us in their army? He asked his brothers. Ilar, who still had his baby fat, hoped not. I want to stay at home with Ummi, he said, picturing his mother. She was a formidable warrior goddess with magical powers, which she had passed on to her sons. Under her guidance, the gods had learned to perform powerful spells only to be used in times of great need. But their umu also smelled like pomegranate and gave the best hugs. However, as much as Ilar didn't want to leave his mother, he was curious about his Irish homeland and finally agreed to make the journey with his brothers. So long as they took for Mac, his magical dog, who always made Ilar feel braver. Have to bring the dog. Off they all went on a magical flying boat. But the whole way across the skies, Dove and Ig argued over who should steer and who should read the map, while Ilar, already homesick, cried into his dog's neck. Finally, one night, the gods flew over Ireland, but got confused about their location and crash landed into an oak forest near the Dingle Peninsula, which was nowhere near Connacht in Galway. Which was nowhere near Galway in Connacht. As their ship had caught trees on the way down, it was now too damaged to fly out of there. The boys were stuck and had no choice but to set up camp and try to get some sleep. The dark forest was so cold, and though the branches and bushes, and through the branches and bushes, they could make out yellow eyes blinking at them. Owls perhaps, but Ilar was terrified, and even the older boys were a little nervous. So, for added safety, as they slept, Dove conjured a wall of fire to surround them, and it was lucky he did. owls weren't alone in watching the boys that night. The Fina were camped nearby and had spotted the boat flying in. The warriors didn't know the demigods were sons of a mortal Irish king. To them, they were dangerous outsiders who wore unusual, colourful headdresses and knew how to conjure walls of fire. The Fina convinced themselves that the strangers were there to cause trouble. So the warriors armed themselves with spears and decided to kill the boys. When the men crept towards the three sleeping figures, they noticed for the first time that a dog was there too, and it had spotted them. But the Fina weren't worried. Instead, they smirked at this odd-looking foreign beast with his feathery upward curling tail, coat the colour of desert sand, and fancy collar made from the finest Arabian gold. Compared to their huge wolfhounds, this dog looked silly. So the men came closer. But Fermac wasn't to be underestimated. She turned her back to the Fina, pointed her tail towards him, and let out a huge trumpeting fart that stank of rotten fish. It was so powerful it blasted the men off their feet and up into the trees. Go Fermac. The boys woke to the commotion. Who are you? Roared Ig. And why are you dangling from trees with spears in your hands? Most of the men were too dazed to speak, all but one, a large blonde man who untangled himself from the branches and dropped to the ground, careful to keep a safe distance from Ilar's dog. I'm Finn McCool, leader of the Irish Fina, he said. If you have come to attack the Irish, you're never going to win. Attack the Irish? That's the last thing we want to do, Dove said. We've come from Arabia because our father is king of Connacht and we are his heirs. Oh, Finn replied, feeling slightly embarrassed. Well, perhaps we were hasty in trying to kill you. But you were wrong to come here expecting to be kings. Our people will not accept you. Let us arrange a safe travel back to your own home. This is our home now, Ilar said, surprising his brothers with his boldness. What evil thing have we done that the Irish won't accept us? Why do you order us to leave? Finn turned to face this little boy. No evil, perhaps, but we've never seen or heard the likes of you before. It makes us... Afraid? Ilar interrupted. He knew all too well what it was like to fear the unknown. Finn McCool was taken aback. No one had ever accused him of being afraid before. He'd intended to say he was suspicious, yet he felt the truth of the statement and realised that he had been a bit afraid of these strangers. Let's start again, the Fina leader said. We would gladly take all three of you young princes to your kingdom in Connacht. Relieved, the demigods readily accepted the help, and over the next few days they and their magical dog scaled hills and sloshed through swamplands with the mighty warriors. Finn taught Ig to swing a sword without stabbing himself. Ilar learned to brew nettle soup so that it zinged pleasantly on his tongue without stinging. And Dove constantly quizzed the Fina about the existence of Irish zombies. All in all, the boys were having a great time. But early one morning, as the group picked through a hawthorn forest, their fun was cut short. They were ambushed by 3 monstrous gods with blood-red skin, fire for hair, and sharp red spears. "Underworld gods!" Finn roared out to his warriors as a fight broke out between them. Then he turned to the 3 boys. "Run! Now!" The boys took cover behind some nearby trees, but they didn't run away. Their mother had taught them what to do in times of grave need, and this surely was one of those times. First, the 3 princes rubbed their palms together to create heat. Then they hunkered down and laid their hands onto the ground. This way, their bodies became conduits for the earth's energy. Next, each of them kicked off their sandals to feel the uneven lumps of soft, damp soil under their feet. They stood, rolled their heels and pressed their toes into the earth, kneading the land as if it needed them. They called upon the Irish earth to gift them its magic and power. The boys felt pressure on different points of their feet and cooling sensation that travelled up their bodies into their chests, fingers and faces. As battle raged, the 3 young gods closed their eyes and became still. They could smell the soil all over them, the earthy minerality of magic. The demigods became connected to Ireland, and Ireland became connected to them. When they opened their eyes, the princes were ready to come out from hiding and into the thick of the fighting. Each one of them pointed at each of the red gods, 3 on 3. Speaking in time with one another, they said, "You 3 gods, by the strength of this spell, will become crooked-sided and lame of hip, one-eyed and stinking rumped." To the Fina's amazement, the demigods instantly dropped their spears, and each of them, their left eyeballs popped out of their sockets. The gods screamed in pain, and their bums began to stink of rotting flesh. They clutched at their hip bones as their bodies bent and crumpled. Then, Fermac, the boy's loyal dog, lifted her majestic golden tail and let out a fart, so forceful and foul that the 3 red gods flew high into the air, over the hawthorn trees and right across Ireland, before plummeting into the sea. Go Fermac. Finn and his Fina warriors were in awe. They cheered, they bowed before the 3 demigods with respect and gratitude. And for the rest of their journey, they excitedly shared stories of the boys' incredible power and heroism with many travellers. So by the time Dove, Oig and Ilar arrived in Galway, the people had poured out of every home to cheer and welcome the 3 heroic princes and their dog with the magic farts. The end. A great story from Gods Don't Cry. Till the next one. Bye bye.